Hey there YouTube lovers, my name is BB8 and today I am going to share my list of my top 10 Game Boy Advance games that should come to Nintendo Switch Online. I did do something like it for the Nintendo 64 back in 2021, so I thought with Game Boy Advance officially on Switch Online now, I thought, why not do a top 10 list of Game Boy Advance games that, in my opinion, should make it to the Nintendo Switch Online service. And just before we get into the list, this list does exclude mainline Pokemon games, because unfortunately, as much as I want them on here, I don't think they will be. I think they'll do their own thing and be in its own standalone application in order to have Pokemon Home features built into it. Doesn't rule out the possibility of Pokemon spin-offs. It's just the mainline Pokemon games I don't see being on here, unfortunately. And the games we already know are coming, like Kirby and the Amazing Mirror, Fire Emblem, F-Zero Maximum Velocity, and Golden Sun, are unfortunately not on the list, because we already know they're coming, so I don't really see the point of putting them on the list. So I'm only putting Game Boy Advance games that have not been confirmed. And without further ado, let's get into it, shall we? Before we get into the list, I thought I would share my honourable mention. I know it's not normal to put my honourable mention at the beginning of the video, because most people would normally do it at the end, but my honourable mention has to go to Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Red Rescue Team. The reason that Mystery Dungeon didn't quite make my top 10 is because Mystery Dungeon Red Rescue Team is split into two, with its other counterpart known as Blue Rescue Team, which is also on the DS. And if they were to put Red Rescue Team on the service, some features may be missing. Because unless they brought DS to Switch Online eventually, I do think if they were to eventually bring DS, Blue Rescue Team could connect from the Game Boy Advance app and save data and connect between the two. But the only problem with Red Rescue Team making it in here is that DS is not on Switch Online yet, because DS is where Blue Rescue Team is. But for now, if you do want to play Red Rescue Team or Blue Rescue Team, there is always the remake Rescue Team Deluxe, but the original experience is just, the original experience is always better than, like, the remake. Although, we did end up getting a solid remake from Mystery Dungeon, I do think they could add this eventually, just not now, because DS Nintendo Switch Online isn't there yet. Number 10 on the list, we have Warioware Twisted. You're probably wondering, BB8, why would you put another WarioWare game on the list if there's already a WarioWare game on Game Boy Advance Nintendo Switch Online? Well, the reason I ended up putting WarioWare Twisted on the list is because, unlike WarioWare Inc., WarioWare Twisted is more unique with, like, the gyro controls Because the original Game Boy Advance game did have like a gyro sensor inside the cartridge, which unfortunately the Wii U didn't end up getting it on its virtual console, which the 3DS, which did have motion controls, could have had GBA virtual console, and they could have had Warioware Twisted on it, like. But with the Switch having the motion control technology, unlike the Wii U gamepad, I do think it is possible they could bring it at a later date. Number 9 on the list, we have Mario vs. Donkey Kong. I tried to come up with a Donkey Kong game to go on this list, but unfortunately, I'm trying not to put remakes on this list. That's why the list did not feature Metroid Zero Mission, The Legend of Zelda 4 Swords, or Kirby Nightmare in Dreamland. So I don't see the Donkey Kong Country port from the Game Boy Advance making it on here, because it just isn't needed, in my opinion. Because we already have it on SNES Switch Online, so I don't see the reason to include it. So I ended up going with Mario vs. Donkey Kong as an original Donkey Kong game from the Game Boy Advance. Because this one does stay authentic to like the older Donkey Kong games. If you ignore Country, it does have that feel to the original Donkey Kong, and is a successor to Donkey Kong 94 that came out on the Game Boy. And I do think Mario vs. Donkey Kong would be an interesting one to play, and that's why I put it on the list. Number 8, Crash Bandicoot Purple, Ripto's Rampage, and Spyro Orange, the Cortex Conspiracy. You're probably wondering, why Crash Purple and Spyro Orange of all GBA games? Because yet again, this is the first form of Crash Bandicoot Spyro the Dragon crossover we've probably had. If you ignored Skylanders, this is the only crossover we've had between them. And really, I have been playing quite a bunch of Crash Bandicoot in recent memory, thanks to the Insane Trilogy and Crash Bandicoot 4 It's About Time. So I do think having access to another Crash Bandicoot game, I do think it would be fun to do. Like, but yet again, with Activision Blizzard under Microsoft almost, I think this might be a rough one to do. Because yet again, we have had Banjo-Kazooie and Golden Sun on... Not Golden Sun, I mean GoldenEye on the Nintendo 64 Nintendo Switch Online service. If they did a whole thing with Microsoft, I do think it is possible that we could get some form of Crash Bandicoot or Spyro game from the Game Boy Advance on here, because yet again, I do think it would take like a deal to get them on here. And the Banjo-Kazooie GBA games, which are number 7, Banjo Pilot or Banjo-Kazooie Grunty's Revenge. Like I just said with Crash Purple and Spyro Orange, that I would end up taking some sort of deal to get the Crash and Spyro GBA games, as well as the Banjo-Kazooie GBA games on here. Well, the reason I put Banjo Pilot and Banjo-Kazooie Grunty's Revenge on the list is probably because I really enjoyed Banjo-Kazooie through my run of it, and I thought, with Banjo-Tooie not on Nintendo 64 yet, I thought, we've never really had ports of the GBA Banjo games, so I thought, why not bring them back? But the only problem to that is that THQ, the original developers of them, did go defunct in 2013. So I doubt that they would come to the service, but if we had Banjo Pilot, it's another racing game, and if we had Banjo-Kazooie Grunty's Revenge, another Banjo game I can go ahead and play. So why not bring Banjo? Number 6, Mario Tennis Power Tour. I know Power Tour may be a graphical downgrade compared to Mario Tennis on the Nintendo 64, but I do feel like with the Golden Sun engine having some RPG elements in here for some reason, I do think Mario Tennis Power Tour could be a decent one to come to when it comes to the Game Boy Advance. Because yet again, I am curious to see how this one is going to play out. Because yet again, we do have in the Nintendo 64 version of Mario Golf, we do have hidden characters, so I do think bringing the Game Boy and Game Boy Advance versions of Mario Tennis and Mario Golf over, I do think it is possible that the characters that are hidden on the N64 version of Mario Golf can be unlocked just like that. Like, as long as we have some sort of data syncing implemented into these services, it could work. Number 5, Sonic Advance. It doesn't really matter which one makes it. Like, if we get one of them or all of them, that would be fine by me. Because even though the Sonic Advance games may not be the highest on my Sonic ranking, I do think going through the Advance games would be fun. And with Sega Mega Drive making it to the NSO service, it could actually be possible to include Sonic Advance now. And when we get GameCube eventually, we could get some form of Sonic content on there, because, like, we have Mega Drive, why not bring Sonic over to GBA and GameCube? Number 4, Mega Man Battle Network. Yet again, Battle Network is a doubt only because, as I'm recording this, it's April the 8th, and as I'm uploading this on the 21st of April, that there is a Battle Network collection coming out, and I'm not sure if a game from the Battle Network series would be needed on here, because I do think it does something new for the Mega Man series. It makes it more RPG-like. So I do think having the Battle Network collection on here, it could be a potential fun time. And if the Battle Network collection may not be accessible to them, like, if you had thought about buying the full collection, why not have it on the GBA service as a tester, like some sort of taste, before playing the others? So that's why I think that Battle Network should be on here. Number 3, Wario Land 4. Unfortunately, yes, we do have 2 Wario games on the list, but Wario Land 4 is the best Wario game. So, even though we already have Wario Land 3 on the Game Boy Color service, I do think they could include Wario Land 4, because the controls are way better. There's so much more you can do out of the 4th one than 1, 2, and 3. And even though we might not get Wario World, because that's on the GameCube, for quite a while, I do think I could see myself putting tons of hours into Wario Land 4, like, if they were to add it. Like, I do think this could be a fun time. Number 2, Advance Wars. I was shocked that Advance Wars didn't make it to the launch lineup, because this is a must-have for the Game Boy Advance. And I do think with the remake coming out soon, it is reasonable why they didn't include it. But I think they should have, to give people a taster of the original games before going on to the remake. But with Fire Emblem coming to the GBA service, that can give me a strategy game to play while I eventually wait for Advance Wars to come. Number 1, Pokemon Pinball, Ruby and Sapphire. Why Pokemon Pinball, Ruby and Sapphire, of all things, making number 1 on the list? Well, because Generation 3 is my favourite generation, and I do think with Pinball, with the Pokemon twist, making it onto the NSO service, I do think it would be quite fun to play pinball while catching them all. Like, you have like 2 boards to choose from, a lot of Pokemon to catch. I think this is another one I would see myself putting a lot of hours into. Like, until I've caught them all, I'm not gonna stop. So guys, what did you think of my list of Game Boy Advance games that should make it to Switch Online? Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, like this video, and turn your notification bell on so you don't miss another video like this one. And I will see you all in a future video. BB8 out.